I'm going to walk you through the features of Employee Scheduler Pro. This is an add-on to the Employee Scheduler plugin, and it makes it a lot easier to manage schedules when you have a lot of employees or a lot of shifts being worked. So here I am in the dashboard of a website that has Employee Scheduler Pro installed, and one of the first differences between Pro and the free version is that the Pro version gives you these two dashboard widgets. One tells you who is clocked in right now, and no one is clocked in on this site, but if they were, you would be able to see who is clocked in and what job they're doing. And also recent shift notes, so if employees have left notes on their shifts, things like I forgot to clock out or I had to work an extra hour, those shift notes would show up here. One of the useful things that Employee Scheduler Pro lets you do is it will check for scheduling conflicts. So I'm going to create a shift for Sydney Smithers, and we're going to schedule this for the 26th from go. Now if I try to publish this shift, it's going to say, uh-oh, Sydney is already scheduled for a shift at this time. So I have the option to either create the shift anyway or continue editing it. So this way you don't double book your employees. This also gives you the ability to enter in some more information about your employees, including times when they are regularly unavailable. So for instance, if you know that this employee takes a class on Wednesday afternoons and you want to make sure that you never schedule them for a shift on Wednesday afternoons, if you enter in Wednesday afternoon here, then it will also check these times when it's checking for scheduling conflicts, and it will make sure that you never schedule this employee during those times. While I'm here, I'll show you a few other fields that Employee Scheduler Pro adds. There's a pay rate, so if you can enter in the hourly rate that your employee receives and any deductions that they receive. This will all be used to calculate payroll, and I'll show you the payroll report in a few minutes. One of the things that can get difficult if you have a lot of employees or a lot of shifts is creating shifts can get to be a pain, because you have, every time an employee works, even if you have 5 employees working the same schedule, that means you have to create 5 different shifts for every single day they work, and that can get really cumbersome. So the Pro version has this bulk shift creator. You can assign bulk shifts to 1 or more employees, and you can make them repeat whenever you need. You can enter in a date range, so let's say that this shift is going to happen for the entire month of June. If you want, you can enter in a shift type and a shift status. If you don't enter in a status, it will the default status is assigned. And if you want, you can send an email to this employee letting them know that you've scheduled them for all of these shifts. And it created 18 shifts all at once. It did notice that we had a scheduling conflict, and we have the option to either edit or delete the new shift that was just created or the old shift that was already there. You can bulk create shifts. That means you also can bulk edit them. So this afternoon barista shift is part of a shift series that I created when using the bulk shift form. So I have the option to delete all the shifts in this series. So oops, I didn't mean to do that. I can delete all of them at once instead of having to do them one at a time. There's also the ability to edit all of them at once. So if it turns out that this shift doesn't need to be worked for as many hours. I can change that, and now if I update the shift, I can update all the shifts in this series. This will only apply to shifts later than this one, so now if I click Update All Shifts, all the shifts after this one have been updated to have the same time that this one has. And there's also an option here to delete all the shifts in the series. When you've created this many shifts, it can be really complicated to try to find, that one shift that Cameron is working on that one Thursday. So there is an option here to filter shifts. So let's say I just want all the shifts that are being worked this one week, and I only want to see the barista shifts. Here is a filtered view of just those shifts that I selected. And there are a lot of options here, so this is really useful for finding the shifts you need or for sorting through your shifts. These columns are also sortable, so that also makes it easier to find what you need. You can do the same thing with expenses as well. Another handy report that the Pro version gives you is this scheduled versus worked report. And with my dummy data here, I don't actually have many shifts that have been worked. But here's a shift. Cameron Quinn was scheduled to work for 3 hours and actually only worked for 1 minute, which is a difference of 2 hours and 59 minutes. So this is a really great way when you have a lot of employees and a lot of shifts. This is a great way to see patterns about who's working too much and who's not working enough. And there's also a field here for the shift notes. So maybe Cameron left a note about, oh, I was sick, so I went home early, or oops, I forgot to clock in and out. So this is a great way to get a bigger picture about what's going on with your employees. The Pro version also includes a payroll report, and again, I don't have a lot of dummy data in here, so this is going to be a short report. But this report will calculate the total number of hours each employee worked, the total overtime that they worked, and overtime is an option on the settings page, the number of paid time off hours they worked, and then this is the total of all of those hours. Then if they reported any mileage or any receipts, or if you've entered any deductions on their profile page, that is entered here, and this is telling me employee pay rate not set. If I had entered in employee pay rates for these employees, this would give me what their gross pay is and the total payroll for this time period. So those are all of the extra features that the Pro version has for site admins. Now I can show you some differences that your employees will notice. For one thing, on the master schedule, these unassigned shifts show up at the bottom of the schedule. These are shifts that don't have an employee. And there is a Take Shift button next to all of these. So an employee has the option to take one of these shifts. Once they've taken a shift, they also have the ability to drop a shift. And there is an option for, here it says you must provide at least 48 hours advance notice to drop a shift. That is one of the options on the settings page, so if you can change the advance notice that they must provide for dropping a shift, and employers can receive notifications and can approve taking and dropping shifts. So those are all the features that the Pro version of Employee Scheduler adds.